Ravelay has been featured on numerous critics' lists of greatest albums of all time. Rolling Stone magazine placed the album at number 367 on the list of 500 greatest albums of all time. In 2001, 250,000 music fans on VH1 voted Ray of Light as the 10th of 100 best albums of all time. In 2003, Ray of Light was allocated at number 17 on Q Magazine Reader's list of 100 greatest albums ever. The album is also included in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. Mojo magazine also listed Ray of Light at number 29 on 100 Modern Classics, the greatest albums of our lifetime. In 2013, the album was also included at number 241 on NME magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. British singer Adele named Ray of Light as one of the chief inspirations for her third studio album, 25. Madonna herself considered Ray of Light the most fulfilling evolution of her career. Okay, so I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm a little nervous right now. I have never had the bar set so high for a first listen video before. I'm expecting this album to be one of the greatest pop records I've ever heard. Not only one of the greatest pop records I've ever heard, I'm expecting this to be one of the greatest albums I have ever heard. That's a pretty high expectation going into a first listen video, and I'm so scared, I am so nervous, but to be honest with you, it's November right now, and it feels like Christmas morning. I feel like my whole Madonna journey, listening to her whole discography for the very first time, has been leading up to this one video, to this one album. I feel like, you know, The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, when Frodo and Sam are climbing Mount Doom to destroy the One Ring, and they're so close. There's lava everywhere. Aragorn and Gandalf have reached the gates, the Black Gates of Mordor, and the One Eye is focused on them. I feel like I'm a little dramatic right now, but I feel like this is the Frodo and Sam moment of destroying the One Ring on Mount Doom. I feel like we have reached this point where this is like the plateau of everything that I've listened to so far in Madonna's discography. And like I said, I'm so nervous, I'm so scared because I don't feel like I'm going to be disappointed in this record. I'm sure I'm going to love it. I haven't been disappointed with a Madonna record yet. I've enjoyed all of her records, so I imagine I'm going to enjoy this record without a shadow of a doubt, but am I going to enjoy it? Am I going to love it as much as you guys? Am I going to love it to the point where I feel like it's one of the best records I've ever listened to? I'm young. I haven't listened to a lot of albums in my lifetime, let alone 1,000 albums, like one of the mentions here, the 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. I have not listened to 1001 albums in my lifetime. I haven't listened to many albums, so at the same time, I'm still expecting this to be one of the best albums I've listened to, and that's, you know, that's a pretty high bar. So let's get into it right now. I'm so scared, I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited to have some eargasms, to say the least. So there are 13 tracks on this record. Oh, by the way, hey guys. I hope you're having an awesome day because I'll be listening to Ray of Light by Madonna. So the only tracks I've heard off this record so far are Ray of Light and Frozen. Out of the 13 tracks, those are the only two I've heard. All the other tracks are brand new to me. From 1998. That would be 21 years ago. Wow. Okay. So let's just get into it with track number 1, Drowned World, Substitute for Love.
Traveled round the world, looking for a home. substitute for love. Should I wait for you? A substitute for love.
Okay, so that was track number 1, Drowned World, Substitute for Love. It's unlike anything I've heard from Madonna up until this point in her career with 1998's Rave Light. I almost just wanted to get up. I just wanted to shut off the camera and just lay down on my big, beautiful couch, which is right across from me in my living room. I just wanted to lay down and close my eyes and just relax. You know, it just had that total relaxation feeling. And I just shut off my mind and I kind of just forgot where I was. And it was very beautiful. And I really enjoyed it just because it's so unlike anything I've heard from Madonna so far. So if this is what the rest of the record's gonna sound like, I'm gonna be pretty excited. So now let's get into track number 2, Swim. Okay, so that was track number 2, Swim. And how do I explain the feeling that I get when I listen to these songs? You know, I hear the chimes, I hear ocean waves, I feel relaxation. Like I said prior when I listened to Drowned World Substitute for Love, this isn't an album where I feel like it's wrong that I'm just sitting here listening to it. I feel like I need to be laid down. I feel like I need to be in some sort of meditation state. I know that might sound weird, but I just feel like I should just be here sitting and listening to it, you know? I feel like I should be in some sort of zone mentally. I feel like I should be in some sort of mindset. It's very hard to explain what I'm saying right now. And when it comes to the actual song itself, I mean, there's some polarizing lyrics that kind of threw me for a loop. It was a little shocking. But from what I picked up, reading the lyrics, I mean, it's called Swim, water, crashing to the other shore, swimming to the ocean floor, washing away your sins. I feel like what water represents is purification, and it cleanses away sins, and it cleanses away negative elements. It just kind of cleanses the world, and it kind of just douses you, and you have to swim to the bottom to be completely purified, and just to let go of everything that did you wrong, and just to kind of start anew, and to be reborn. I mean, that's my interpretation of the song. That's what I picked up. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be going on a bit of a journey with this record. I feel like every single song is going to be very deep, no pun intended, swimming to the bottom of the ocean. Maybe that's another metaphor, you know? This album is very deep, swimming to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, who knows at this point? Anyway, so now let's move on to track number 3, Ray of Light, which I will be reacting to in this video. I will be skipping over because if you recall, if you watched my very first Madonna video, my first album review of Madame X that she released back in the summer, I reacted to that album. I did an album review. That was the first Madonna album I ever listened to in full before. I opened that video with my reaction to Ray of Light. So I'll be skipping over Ray of Light for this video. I'm fucking kidding. It's Ray of fucking Light. I have to react to it again. Did I break my headphones? Thank God they are intact. They are in one piece. My Sony headphones, they are not broken. Okay. Track number 3, Ray of Light. I mean, I remember listening to this song when I was a kid in elementary school. Total bop, one of my favorite Madonna songs ever. And I have nothing to say to it. It's just a really great song. And for me, one of the highlights of her whole career up until this point, Ray of Light, not just the album, but the song as well. So different from what she's released prior to this. I mean, how do we go from an album like Erotica? It was released in 1992, so at this point, Erotica was only released 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. We go from Erotica to an album like Ray of Light. That is why she's Madonna. She can do anything. Okay. So now let's move on to track number 4, Candy Perfume Girl. Now, I always enjoyed the title of this song. Prior to listening to it, I always kind of look at the tracks of the album, and I would always just sit there and be like, one day I will listen to this album, one day I will film it. And that's what's very frustrating about doing this channel now, is that there's so many albums I want to listen to, and I'll be up late at night just browsing through Apple Music, and I want to push that play button. I just want to say, fuck it, I'm going to listen to it, but I have to hold off because I want to do a video of me listening to it for the first time. So it's a little frustrating in that regard, but now finally I get to listen to it. So track number 4, Candy Perfume Girl. Okay, and that was track number 4, Candy Perfume Girl. And as you know by now, when I do these first listen videos, as I'm listening to each and every song, I'm also following along with the lyrics. And this song was no exception. I'm just finding it difficult to pick up what this song is about. If I had to guess, I feel like it's just about sex. Young velvet porcelain boy, devour me when you're with me. Speak delicious fires. I'm your candy perfume girl. Moist, warm desire. She also says, throb the oceans. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like this song is just about sex. And leave a comment, tell me maybe there's a better analysis of it. I mean, this album has been out for 21 years, so maybe there's a different meaning behind the song. But my first time listening to it, read the lyrics, that's kind of what I picked up. And it has that word moist in the lyrics, which so many of you hate. I don't know why so many people dislike this word. It's common knowledge that for some reason a lot of people just don't like the sound of the word moist for some reason. I don't know if it brings some unnatural images to one's head or it's just uncomfortable, but I've never had a problem with the word moist. But for the people who are annoyed with the word moist. So anyway, let's move on to track number 5, Skin.
Do I know you from somewhere? Put your hand on my skin. Put your hand on my skin. Touch me and try. Do I know you from somewhere? Kiss me and die. I say, so like the stupid things I said
Whoa, where am I? Okay, I'm still filming. So that was track number 5, Skin. Whoa. I don't know what happened there. Something freaky was happening. Madonna, you possessed me. Track number 5, Skin. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. I wasn't really there, as you could see. I wasn't really there as I was filming. I was kind of somewhere else. I don't know where I was. But I wasn't sitting here with you guys. That's a little freaky, I'm sorry. Anyway, whoa. So now let's move on to track number 6, Nothing Really Matters. Okay, and that was track number 6, Nothing Really Matters. I feel like this is a really important song, not just for Madonna, but for anybody who is a bit older and now has some perspective and some analysis on their life and what it means to be alive and kind of just putting everything in perspective. I don't know how old Madonna was when she recorded this album, but she is a more mature woman now. She is no longer the sweet virginal girl from Like a Virgin. She's no longer the sexy mistress from Erotica. Now she's kind of putting her life in perspective. I mean, you only need to read the lyrics to know what she's singing about. When I was very young, nothing really mattered to me. Now that I'm grown, everything's changed. Nothing really matters. Looking at my life, it's very clear to me I live selfishly. I was the only one. Nobody wins. Something is ended. Something begins. Nothing really matters. Love is all we need, which is so very true. I feel like when you're young, I mean, I'm still young, but not as young as I used to be. But I know when I was younger, I just kind of lived in the moment, and I never really thought of what could or would happen based on the choices I made. And going through very narcissistic and selfish moments, and just worried about the stupidest shit ever, like what people thought of me, or what my friends thought of me, or just stupid, trivial things that you feel like will make you an outcast. Because when you are young, you know, your social stature is what matters the most. You know, will the popular kids like me? I don't fit in with the popular kids. I need people to like me. That kind of goes away, at least it did for me. And it came to the point where I just didn't really care about the trivial things anymore. You know, just so many stupid things that I used to be concerned about, like standing in line on Black Friday to get a cheap deal on a movie, or just stupid little trivial things like getting angry at something that I shouldn't be getting angry at, or the minuscule things in my life that isn't affecting me, or having to stand in line at a cash register because somebody is taking a long time ringing through a purchase and I have to stand there. It's taking forever. It's so inconsiderate, and just little things like that. Just looking back, it's like, why did these things affect me so much? There are so many other things happening in the world, and I only have so many years left on this planet. Why am I letting these little things get to me? I just should focus on the things that bring me joy and focus on love and what I enjoy in this planet. And it kind of just puts everything in perspective. And when you're young, you don't really focus on stuff like that. Like I said, you just kind of live in the moment. And now that I am older, I'm getting some perspective. And that's why I feel like this song is very important. Not just for Madonna, but for anybody. So anyway, enough of that shit. So now let's move on to track number 7, Sky Fits Heaven. Actually, before I move on to Sky Fits Heaven, I also want to mention that I really do feel like this album is a revelation for Madonna. It's her ray of light. It's her light that is shining through the darkness that was her past. All the bullshit she's gone through. Now this is kind of a turning point. It's, her eyes opening. She's seeing things more clearly now, and she's just kind of moving forward with her life. She's kind of putting the past in the past, and she's looking towards the future. So that's another little tidbit of information that I picked up. Not just listening from this song, nothing really matters about the whole album so far. Anyway, track number 7, Sky Fits Heaven.
That's what the prophet said to me. Traveling down this road, watching the signs as I go, as I go. Watching the signs as I go.
And that was track number 7, Sky Fits Heaven. I feel like as Madonna was writing this record, or maybe even before she started writing this record, I feel like she had some sort of epiphany or some kind of spiritual awakening. Because I'm picking up a lot of spiritual influences, a lot of higher thinking, a lot of, Eckhart Tolle-ish vibes from this album. If you don't know who Eckhart Tolle is, definitely research him. He has some amazing books out there. And they just, records like this just aren't made anymore, in particular pop records. I listen to the pop records of today, and nothing like this would ever be released. And I think that's why I'm so bored of today's music, because it's always the same. It's just very regurgitated nonsense, and I'm just so over it. I think that's why I'm gravitating towards older albums now, from obviously the 90s, because that was the decade I grew up in, but the 80s and 70s, just, I guess what I'm searching for is more meaningful lyrics and stories and experiences that these artists have to share, and something I can't find in today's music. And don't get me wrong, there are albums and songs released today in 2019 that do speak to me, that are, philosophical, that are beautifully written, but they are hard to come by. So that is why when I discover an album like this, it kind of lifts my spirits and I get all excited inside. So that was track number 7, Sky Fits Heaven. She's traveling down her own road, following her heart. Fate fits karma. Love fits virtue. I mean, it's true. It's all true. So now let's move on to track number 8, Shanti Ashaji. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I probably did. I'm so sorry. So let's get into it. Track number 8. Okay, and that was track number 8, Shanti Astaji. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that one more time. Uh, so this song was all in Indian. I couldn't really follow along because I didn't understand what she was singing or saying. So I actually had to look up the meaning of the word Shanti, and it means peace. When you chant Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, it's an invocation of peace. In Buddhist and Hindu traditions, you chant Shanti 3 times to represent peace in body, speech, and mind. And this kind of cements the idea I had earlier, where I felt like this album was about some kind of spiritual awakening Madonna had. It's about meditation, it's about peace of mind, Buddhism and whatnot, and Hindu traditions and what have you. Peace in body, speech, and mind. So good job, I enjoyed it. So now let's move on to track number 9, Frozen.
Your heart.
Okay, and that was track number 9, Frozen, which was the lead single off this album, I believe. Really great song, really beautiful song, and really great message. If I could melt your heart, we'd never be apart. You're frozen. Love is a bird, she needs to fly. You're frozen when your heart's not open, which is very true. It's very hard to, or it's very easy to crawl into your little cocoon of misery and depression and hate. And it's very easy just to be negative all the time and to be ignorant and to not be open-minded, to have your heart closed, and it's very easy to be restricted, which essentially makes you frozen inside. I find it's very easy to be that way, but it's even harder to let yourself be free and to be an open thinker and to be inclusive and to not care about the repercussions of what you have to say, especially if what you have to say is very important. So, lesson from Madonna: be free, don't be frozen inside. So now let's move on to track number 10, The Power of Goodbye.
Your heart is not open, so I must go. The spell has been broken. I loved you so. You were my lesson. I had to learn. I was your fortress. You had to burn. There's nothing left to try. There's no place left to hide. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. It's not open, so I must go. The spell has been broken. I love you so. There's nothing left to lose. There's no more to burn. Burn to say there's no more places to hide. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. There's nothing left to lose. There's no greater power than the power of
And that was track number 10, The Power of Goodbye. Very beautiful ballad and very meaningful. And The Power of Goodbye, I mean, Madonna's so right. Madonna's always right. Saying goodbye is probably one of the most powerful things that you could ever say to someone. From my experience, a lot of people have difficulty saying goodbye and letting go. I'm not just talking about death. Obviously, when someone dies, you're forced to say goodbye to them. But whether it be a relationship or an acquaintance, say goodbye. I feel like a lot of people struggle with saying goodbye, especially if you have a lot of good memories associated with them and you've been with them for a long time and you've gone through a lot with them and something happens and you feel like you need them out of your life, but you can't say bye to them, so you keep them in your life and they're just toxic, they're doing nothing for you. So I feel like the power of letting someone go, of saying goodbye, is one of the most powerful things you can say to someone. I've recently had to say goodbye to somebody who was in my life from the day I was born, and this was about a year and a half ago, and I was the one who finally had to say goodbye to them, and they were a very prominent person in my life from when I was 1 minute old, and I had to say goodbye to them. And I chose not to have them in my life anymore, and looking back, it was probably one of the most powerful things I could have ever done. Because if I chose to keep that person in my life, they would have just ruined me and would have put me back into my negative mindset of hatefulness and toxic words. And by letting them go, I feel like I took a weight off my shoulders, and I'm so much happier now. My mind is so much clearer, and I don't even think about them anymore. Occasionally I do, but I'm just so much happier without them, and saying goodbye to them was probably one of the most significant things I could have done in my life, and I'm very proud of myself for doing it. Anyway, so now let's move on to track number 11, To Have and Not to Hold. Okay, and that was track number 11, To Have and Not to Hold. To love but not to keep, to laugh, not to weep. Your eyes, they go right through, like a moth to a flame, only I am to blame. To look but not to see, to kiss but never be the object of your desire. So I feel like she's talking about someone or multiple people throughout her life. People who she could touch physically, people who she could kiss, people she could be around. She could have them, but she couldn't hold them for a prolonged time. Like, she couldn't embrace them as long as she wanted to. She couldn't kiss them for as long as she wanted to. She couldn't hug them for as long as she wanted to. She couldn't be with them as much as she wanted to. She could have them, but she couldn't hold them. To have and not to hold. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. So let's move on to track number 12, Little Star.
Never forget who you are, little star. Never forget how to dream, butterfly. Never forget how to dream, butterfly. Little star.
And that was track number 12, Little Star. And she's saying how God gave her a present made of flesh and bones, which was her life and her soul. And how she needs to realize, or you need to realize as a listener, to never forget who you are, never forget how to dream, never forget where you come from, embrace love and life, and try to not feel sadness as much. I mean, it's completely natural to be sad and down at times, but don't let that encompass you and consume you. Always remember that there is light and love, and to always push forward and to dream and to fly higher than all the other birds in the sky. Because you are a little star in a big, grand universe full of bigger stars, different stars. There might be stars that are brighter than you. There might be stars that are higher than you. But don't ever let that get you down. One day you can shine just as bright as them. You can rise just as high as them. And possibly one day you will be the brightest and strongest and happiest of them all. So now let's move on to the final track on the record, My Girl.
I ran from my house, they cannot contain me, from a man that I cannot keep. Out to the lake, into the rain, hid my tears, hid my fears. Ran and I ran, I was looking for me, crumbling to stones of forgotten days. I tasted my tears, I cursed the angels, I tasted my fear. The ground gave way beneath my feet.
And that was track number 13, the final track on the record, My Girl. And this, I really enjoyed the song. It's, how do I explain my feelings toward this song? Oh my god, I don't even know where to start. Obviously she's singing about, I honestly don't know. Obviously this could be about someone very close to her, a family member, her mom perhaps. I don't really know. Maybe it's something more metaphorical, something to do about, herself, maybe some kind of past experience. It could be so many different things. It's pure poetry, and there's some kind of childlike whimsy to it as well, just the way it's written. How she's running to the forest, and I ran and I ran. I was looking for me. I ran to the lakes and up the hill. I ran and I ran. It's like a story. Obviously, a lot of songs Madonna writes is like a story. I'm gonna have to sit down and actually process the song and actually try to register what she's actually trying to say. It's very poetic, and it's very, like I said, it's very tragic, and it's, soul searching, and yeah, I loved it. And that was Ray of Light by Madonna, 13 tracks. And I honestly, I didn't know what to expect going into this album. All I had listened to was Ray of Light and Frozen. And I knew about the accolades and the notoriety and how many people loved this album. And like I mentioned at the very beginning when I was listing off all the different lists that this album made it on, like Rolling Stone and what have you, like the greatest albums of all time, I was thinking, what could honestly warrant Ray of Light to be one of the greatest albums ever? And it's so different from what I've listened to before from Madonna's discography. And it's unlike anything I've ever heard before. And it's so spiritual and it's so woke. And I do not want to say that word because there's always backlash and negativity associated with that word. Oh, that person is woke. They're woke. They're so awakened by the world now and they discovered themselves. And there's this thing happening in 2019 where people are waking up and everyone's woke now. And I feel like this album was ahead of its time, just like with most Madonna albums. And I really enjoyed this record. And honestly, I have to applaud it. I mean, this album made me think of things that I wasn't expecting to think about, but knowing Madonna's past records and the emotions she brought out of me, especially with Like a Prayer, I mean, I'm not surprised. And so thought-provoking and so everlasting. I mean, this album is timeless. I mean, this album could have been released today. This album could have been released 1970, 1960, this album could have been released, in the 1800s, for all I know. It's so timeless, and it will always be relatable, and everyone will always be able to put themselves in these songs and these lyrics. And hopefully, if you were to listen to this album for the first time, you can walk away from it a little bit more aware of your feelings and what it means to be alive. And be that little ray of light in the darkness that seems to be clouding the world today. And I love it. I love it. Good job, Madonna. I'm gonna have to process this record a little bit more. I'm gonna have to listen to it multiple times. There's just so many things I probably missed, little tidbits of information and little different things that didn't occur to me when I listened to it for the first time. So I'm really excited to dig into this album again and again and again. And I loved it. I loved it. How far she has come from 1983, her debut record. How far she has come from Like a Prayer and Like a Virgin and True Blue. Even Bedtime Stories. I mean, Bedtime Story was only released in 1994, 4 years ago, before this album. And wow. It's like, how does she top this now? Obviously, she released Music after this, and then American Life, which I've yet to listen to, and then Confessions on a Dance Floor. I feel like this is the plateau of Madonna albums. We reach this high point, and then what happens once we reach the plateau? We go down. Hopefully obviously we're gonna go down in terms of quality once we hit Music and American Life. I mean, those albums can't top this record. None of Madonna's records ever again after this will top Ray of Light. So yeah, I love it. Okay, that's enough rambling. I'm just trying to process this. I'm sorry, I just had, a weird experience listening to this record. I mean, wow. So thanks for watching, guys. What's your impression of the record? What you think of it? What are the highlights for you? Where were you when this album was released? What was your reaction when you listened to it for the first time? How has it touched you? How has it affected you? What was it like listening to it for the first time? What was the talk around the music industry when this album was released? What were people saying? When this album was released, were people thinking it was going to be the classic that it is today? Yeah, so let me know. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can message me what other albums I should check out, what other artists I should check out. And thanks for following me along with my Madonna journey. I've been really enjoying it so far, and Ray of Light is definitely a highlight. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.